with absolutely everyone can do a marathon. Okay, it's easy for me to say because I've done it, and it's always that case that whoever's done it already is going to say that, but anybody can do a marathon. There are so many incredible stories. Has anybody actually been on the sidelines of the marathon or been out to see one? The people that you see out there and the stories that you hear about people, who do it in fancy dress. There's people who do it. I have a friend who did it. He was 17 stone and went out and he ran the whole thing. And I don't think his knees are ever going to be right again, if I'm totally honest with you. So I'm not recommending doing it if that's the case for you. But the point is that absolutely anyone can do it. You can do it and get injured, but anyone can do it without getting injured. So my ideal outcome is that everyone in the room gets up and goes and does a marathon at some point, does not get injured whatsoever, and has a great time doing it. For me, I'm absolutely hooked on doing marathons because there's just something so amazing. I know that we've somebody here who's done a marathon already. There's something amazing being out with people for 26 miles when every insecurity that you've got, every little voice that speaks into your mind the odd time and discourages you is going to come up during those 26 miles, and you're out there with complete strangers and 5 minutes running with them, and you feel like you've known them your whole life. And I've had people, like as I'm walking during a marathon, people shouting at me from a sideline to just get going again, and I just out of fear just suddenly start running again or get a fright. I've had people who I was my very first marathon. I was running with a couple, and the husband took off after 5 minutes and went off and did a personal best, and his wife at 20 miles in Ballsbridge started bawling, crying, and I was like, I'm trying to run a marathon at the same time, manage this whole emotional situation that was going on. But the emotional highs and lows that you go through during the day are just amazing. The sense of camaraderie is amazing, and that feeling when you eventually get across the line and get your medal, it doesn't really matter, particularly the first time. It does not matter what time you do it in. If you actually get the medal and get your t-shirt, you're just going to feel amazing. So I'm totally sold on doing marathon. To be honest with you, the reason why I'm sold on it is, okay, I love fitness and all that kind of thing, but every time I do it, I grow so much as a person. So the very last one that I did was the Dublin Marathon in October. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story so you know that I'm not just someone who's talking about marathons who's never done one. So the last marathon that I did, I was going for a personal best. So I was going for sub 3.5 hours, and I went flat out. So I tried a totally different strategy than normal. I went as fast as I could, and I was coming into Ranelagh or Rathgar, and there was a guy wearing an elite badge who was walking, and he was a really lean, athletic looking, just looked like a marathon runner. And I said, come on, let's go. And he just jumped up and started running with me, and it was fantastic. So I thought this guy, he's stopped, maybe he's gonna just pull out again after a mile or two and start walking again. But what happened was he was faster than me, but he wouldn't leave me behind out of loyalty because I'd encouraged him to get going. So he's running along like this, kind of towing me, encouraging me to keep going. And the guy carried me from mile 16 to mile 22.5, at which point I just could not go any further. And last year, the big lesson for me was just the power of the team around you. So that was kind of the camaraderie during the race. I've also written a few blogs on it and that kind of thing if you want to know more about the other little stories within the race that went on. So what I find is that how much I grow as a person is absolutely phenomenal. So the last time I basically realized my big thing was, you know what, I've got to work more as part of a team. I can be so much more efficient. I can get so much more out of life, and I can share these wonderful experiences with people working as a team. The other big, huge lesson last year was I was coming around, so I blew up at mile 22.5. And it never happened to me before in a marathon, but I had to walk. I was in real trouble, and I thought I was seriously injured. But as it happened, it was just something a little bit tricky on the back of my leg, and I think my subconscious I was going too fast, and I think my brain just basically got me to shut down. So I thought I was injured, slowed down, and my lovely wife Cara was at mile, I think 24, and I was walking from 22.5 to 24. I had a good old cry, had a total meltdown. And I fueled up. So my dad was there on the bike, so he gave me he had my nutrition plan there for me, so he gave me some Coke and salts and stuff like that. So I got fueled up, and I just thought, right, I've gotten 22.5 miles in, I might as well walk home. And I remember saying to my dad about half a mile before we were due to meet Cara at mile, I think 24, I said, is there any way I can break 4 hours? And he kind of looked at me like, that kind of, I feel sorry for him kind of look, and he was like, I don't think this is going to happen. So at that point I said, right, I'm going to jog until whenever I see Cara. I just want to keep going until I get around the corner, and at least Cara will think I'm still jogging, and then when I get around the next corner I'm just going to walk it home. And that was about whatever way it worked out, that was maybe a quarter to the 4 hour point, if you like. And when I started jogging, I just got a second wind, and I just felt amazing. So I kept running and realised that I was gonna break a sub 4 hour marathon, which is really respectable. But it was like the walking dead around me. Like people were just, staggering, walking, trying to jog and that kind of thing. But I was totally fueled up because I had been walking for the last kind of half an hour. So I started shouting at everyone, come on, we're going to break 4 hours. And it was amazing. Like people, started running and, got across the line in sub 4 hours. I was absolutely thrilled with myself. So my big breakthrough was, what, I've got to do this. I've got to do more of this for a living, because I know some of those people, I'm never going to see them again in my life, but I helped them get their sub 4 hour marathon. And I know what that means to people because it took me a few attempts to get there. So the point is, it's not just about the miles, it's not just about the medal, it's not just about the t-shirt at the end, it's the personal growth, it's who you become as part of it and the friendships that you make and that kind of thing along the way. I want to leave you at the end of today absolutely certain that you can do a marathon. So pace really dictates whether you're going to get there or not. So pretty much everyone, if you can walk, can finish a marathon. It's just a matter of time. And if you think there's absolutely no way you're going to do the Dublin Marathon on the 29th of October, I basically just encourage you to just say, well, why not just enter it and just walk. It's going to be a very long day if you just decide to walk the whole thing, but what's there to lose? You get to be a part of this amazing experience. You will be so encouraged to get and jog it the next time or run it the next time if you do walk it and just finish it. So a little bit of background on me before we move on. So I'm a fitness coach, personal trainer, NLP qualified, and I'm a masseur as well, even though I don't practice in that at all. So I do know, I have a good bit of qualifications and background about the human body. I'm also a triathlete, so triathlon is actually my primary sport, and I love long distance triathlon. So if you've got butterflies in your tummy thinking about the marathon and if you're going to sign up, I've got Ironman Triathlon on Sunday in Austria, which is, if you don't know, it's a 3.8 kilometer swim, then 180k bike ride, and then a marathon at the end of that. And I can feel the butterflies at this point, so I know exactly how it feels if you've never done one before. So triathlon's my sport, but because there's 3 different disciplines in triathlon, you really have to master running to be able to do a marathon at the end of a triathlon. So I wanted to let you know that I'm qualified and that I'm not just giving you some ideas off the top of my head, I'm experienced in it as well. So we're going to take a break in about 2 minutes, and you'll have questions to ask. You have time to just ask questions that are specific to you. So what I wanted to do was leave you at the end of your 12 minutes knowing that you can do it, that anyone can do it, that it's a matter of pace, really. It's just a matter of what time you're going to finish it in, but anyone can do it. I just wanted to leave you with, at the end of this chunk, with a couple of stories of Irish people and internationals who've done it. I don't know if you guys have heard about Terry Fox, a Canadian guy. Has anybody heard of him? He was a young, I think a teenage Canadian guy who got cancer and decided he was going to jog from one side of Canada to the other. Some point along the way had to have limbs amputated and decided to keep going with the whole thing. People, this is what I love about sport, is that you get to see sometimes right into the core of somebody and the real greatness in their humanity. So I love reading about things like this. Someone just told us last night about it was the guy who won the Athens Marathon in the Olympics in Rome. I don't know if anybody heard about this. He was an Ethiopian guy who was like their third runner. They had no hope in the guy winning whatsoever. He ran it apparently barefoot and won. And we've got an Irish guy, Jerry Duffy. I don't know who's heard of Jerry Duffy. So Jerry has done 32 marathons in the 32 counties in 32 consecutive days, and Jerry was 17 stone and smoked 40 cigarettes a day a few years back, and basically just decided to turn it around. So if Jerry can do it, you can do it. If Terry Fox can do something like that, you can do it. My story is I was 3 stone heavier than I am now, smoked as well, and just basically, thankfully, got hooked on doing something more positive instead of smoking and that kind of thing. So we're